Still playing around with angles. I already did this episode, but there were developments over last night or this morning, whatever, where it made some stuff more redundant, and also just like why not update. So tonight's episode, this week's episode, whatever you want to call it, Owl Blues. I'll probably skip that in the title, and Peak Primal, or like Primal, whatever, and just continuation thoughts on Japanese. So I think the easiest way to jump into this is go like reverse order, or initially, and then chronological or whatever. But Japanese, Kana, pain in the ass to memorize. I got it all written out. I got all my notes, but you know the drill. I got all my little dealios. I got all my charts and everything, and I think the combinations and just in general, like you have like 90 something ish. Basically, there's like 2 alphabets, and then there's like a bunch of other stuff on top of that, layered on top of that. And then like you have all the training tools. Like hold on, that'll just bundle everything together, and it's like I can't memorize all this shit. And then like if you write it out enough, you might memorize. I think I'll memorize it, whatever. But I go into my Kana app, whatever, and like I go and practice, and then I'll just like it'll send me all the myo and like ryo and bio and pyo. And so you have these weird accents. They're not called accents. You have like Dakuten and Kakuten or something. It's a mess. This is my 5th language I'm trying to pick up. And just to get familiarity with it, because it's like memorize this before you jump into Genki. At least in my view, memorize all this to get into Genki. But I don't know, maybe I'm a perfectionist or what, but it's like I just need to get some level of like, all right, I got this under my belt. Now I'm comfortable with tackling the overall. Moving forward, Owl Blues. Blue Owl, a company I've been short, I guess, for roughly 9 weeks, maybe 10 weeks now. Almost essentially since I started this series. I've been short that company, and I scaled up to 2,200 shares. I'm probably adding another 100 come Monday. So that'd be very interesting to add on to that. Now I'm starting to sell monthlies. There was a close call this week, and that's why I shot the redundant episode. I guess Thursday night, Friday, somewhere in between. And you have this cycle, this process where it's just like it just works, rinse and repeat, and it's been doing well. But there's this level of like what I'll call fake news, hysteria when it pertains to like certain products. And so this one fund, that Blue Owl OBDC or OBC2 something, this fund has a lot of money. Bear with me here, right? It's 600 million, I believe, in AUM within this credit fund. It blew up, it got gated, and that's where all the negative PR came. But the merger blowing up happened all the way back in November. So there's this lag effect, even though it's all public information, which is ironic with a private company or private equity company, private credit, whatever, where your opacity is part of the spiel, part of the sell point, or for investors to buy in. It's not mark to market, whatever, and we don't have to deal with the fluctuations of the market, day to day of the market. And that's that. It's just kind of like the opacity is part of the mechanisms of this thing, and so at least in my viewpoint, whatever, don't gamble. I do like doing this stuff. I like doing some of these gambling things where it's like I want to offload this whole large massive base because this is 2/3 of the company investment funds, or funds held in the investment portfolio, whatever. The verbiage there is strange. It's just, the whole company is basically structured investments and then like side cash just in case for OPEX and whatever comes up, and hopefully eventually uh, salaries. So from here, it's just like, isn't this whole part of the game? I lend you money at a higher rate than everybody else, but we don't have to deal with the market. You pay me more, I pay my investors more, and that's that. And then this the money run, or the liquidity crunch, whatever you're gonna call it, of that specific fund has to happen because let's say these assets are have to be marked to market and sold off or whatever. At least logically speaking, or deductively, like if this is worth a lot more than what we bought it for initially, then we have to sell it, pay out, and so it comes in like this weird tranched kind of system, or gated system, right? Where we block outflows or control it in a certain manner. And so it all makes sense. And so for me, it's just this contrarian part of me is like, well, everything sounds fine, operationally speaking. The news, the PR, the financial media, whatever, wants this to fail. I'm not arguing that, like, on a should they fail or should they not fail. Just look at the news and you'll see, like, all the bad media and articles on it. It's warranted, but it's one tiny fund, right? Keep in mind, the $600 million of that specific fund is only 2 basis points of the overall AUM of the complete, like the whole firm, which is insane. So there's that. And that's about it. I mean, other than that, we had Iran just happen. The Americans, the Israelis, knocked out Khamenei, whatever. Just, I don't know. Like being a DOD or DARPA-esque, whatever, the world neoconish investor when it comes to like the defense side of things, it's just hard to kind of tackle a specific topic when you're not really interested in talking about it. Where why didn't it happen sooner, or why didn't this happen like 2 weeks ago? It was signaled so much, and it's like, would there be a preemptive strike earlier? Even with like Osama, granted I was a child when that happened, when we got him. How does that, like, manufacturing the story or narrative? How can we sell this? And that we're probably going to see protests, but I don't understand the attitudes where it's like, wouldn't you prefer the war to be overseas, wherever? Kind of offshoring, this kind of mentality with offshoring jobs. I despise offshoring as a patriot nationalist. Like I want Americans to be proud of working for American companies, and keeping the war away from home is kind of the narrative that I'd subscribe to, where even if it's preemptive, even if it creates downstream problems, I don't know. The Middle East just seems like it'll always be in some type of state of war, religiously speaking, or maybe from like a more secular viewpoint. Did God really like curse or damn this region of land? I don't know. I feel like it is a cursed land. It just seems strange, too odd. They're always at war. Throughout our lifetimes, they've been at war. It doesn't matter with each other, with America. It's too strange. It's too perfect of a concoction of political sentiment, resentment, whatever. Where, like, the more this continues, the more manufactured our weapon systems, whatever, defensive systems become, the more we invest in these technologies, that if not Americans, if humans didn't have this weird war instinct or culture, or violence, we wouldn't have to invest in these fucking tools, right? So, moving forward, in a sense, it's like these primal mechanisms you have, like, it's just brutish. And moving forward, we just finished Knights of the Seven, right? Kingdoms, something like that. That was alright. Best HBO show so far, at least lately. It doesn't have all that like pornographic crap like other shows. Cough, cough, industry. I like that show, but it's just like this show is mid most of the season. House of the Dragon was also mid. There's like one or two memorable episodes. Everything else sucks. At least with House of the Night of the Seven, right? Kingdoms, whatever. It was at least somewhat memorable. Each episode is kind of self-contained or like quality, where everything else nowadays seems like filler, and then you have 2 or 3 good episodes. This season of Industry has been decent, but like there's the Aqua episode. The first or second episode is good. I don't remember specifically which one, and I want to say the most recent one. I don't know why people online were saying that the Dear Henry episode was good, but whatever. That's their right. I thought that episode was mid. I thought it was filler. So. Just like nothing happens, and it's like I want action, I want drama. This is a thriller. Come on, right? Like, throw me in there. I'm not a writer, but I could at least entertain. Come up with an entertaining enough storyline. Just kind of adapt it from whoever, or mutate off of, the main line, whatever baseline that writers come up with. I feel like a handful of like 20-something-year-olds could come up with better storylines than. Cultured and sophisticated 20-year-olds. Doesn't matter if it's games, movies, books, comics. You just grab a handful and throw them in throw them in a think tank and make it'll happen, right? But jumping forward, Primal's great. I just got back into the show way back when. I saw the last episode of season 2, and I didn't know that, thinking it was like the first episode of season 2. Whoops. But season 2 was great. I really liked that. And then season 3, I'm kind of mixed on it because it just feels like a dummy, redundant kind of cartoon. Where it's like, he lost his memory, but obviously he's a zombie. And then spoilers, he regains his consciousness or whatever in the most recent episode. But it's just like, I like the animator. I like I like the show, but just like this is kind of like we could have skipped half of the season, and we could have just jumped from Spear being revived as a zombie, delete 4 episodes, Spear regaining his consciousness, maybe having flashbacks while he's kind of going off into whatever he's doing in the coming episodes. That's just me though, or like maybe 1 episode in between. I don't know. It felt like he had 7 episodes until he got his consciousness back or whatever. I'm running out of time here, but they could have done it more succinctly, like in 3 or 4 episodes instead of boring the shit out of me. And I don't know. Decent show, decent episode, whatever the most recent one was. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment, ring the bell, whatever in the world. Oh, Blue Owl's Blue Owl CEO looks like an owl, and the physiognomy is kind of goofy and funny to me. So anyway, that's all. Thank you. Bye.